Hi everyone, today I want to show you this battery capacity tester that I got on eBay for around $5 US. You get the board itself and then you get two resistors. Now I added this connector myself and I'm planning to use this to measure 18650 batteries to see what the true capacity of them is, because often they'll oversell the capacity. For instance, they might say it's a 3000 milliamp hour battery, but then when you test it you find out it's just 1000 or something like that. So I added this little connector so that I can easily connect and disconnect this 18650 battery holder. Now this is just a little DIY thing that I've thrown together, but it does the job and it lets me easily connect and disconnect the batteries, and I can also use this with other devices that I have. And today we're going to be measuring this 18650 battery that I got from CDR King. We've previously measured this, so we should have a rough idea of what to expect from this. So let's put that into the holder and then connect it to the tester. Now the tester itself is powered by micro USB, so let me connect that and then I'll show you how this little device actually works. Now as soon as it turns on you can see it measures the battery voltage. Now I freshly charged this maybe around 20 minutes ago and it's currently measuring 4.17 volts. The next step is to set the cutoff voltage. So by default it's set to 3 volts and that's what I'll leave it to. So what that means is that when the battery gets down to 3 volts it will stop drawing power, because you don't want to take your batteries too low or you might damage them. And then all you have to do is press OK and it will start draining. So let's go ahead and do that. So you can see what it does is it cycles through these 3 different readings. At the top you've got amp hours, so this is meant to be a 2000 milliamp hour or 2 amp hour battery. The next one is amp in current, so how much current is being drawn. So you can see we're currently drawing 1 amp using these 2 resistors. And then finally V is for voltage, and that's telling us the current voltage of the battery. So under a 1 amp load you can see it's dropped down to 3.8 volts. Now of course, being a resistive load, the power consumption is based on the voltage. So as the voltage of the battery decreases, so does our load amount. So while we might start at 1 amp, by the time this gets down to our cutoff voltage, we might only be drawing say 0.8 or 0.7 amp. So it is very much dependent on your resistor value and your battery voltage. But I think this will actually give a pretty accurate measurement of an 18650 battery. Now this actually can handle up to 15 volts 3 amp, so you don't have to use it just with 18650 batteries. You could potentially use this with other batteries, but once you start going into higher voltages you're probably going to want to swap out these resistors. But for an 18650 this is pretty much the perfect combination. Now unlike my recent video about my other electronic load, this one can't do fancy graphs and it can't do a constant current load and things like that. But the fact that it's so simple really sells itself to me, because all we have to do is supply power to it, connect your battery, and that's it. It does everything else by itself. You don't need any computer. There's really nothing to go wrong. So, it is quite a nice setup. Now, of course, these resistors are going to be getting very, very hot. So whatever you do, don't touch them. Anyway, let's leave this running and it should stop drawing power automatically once it gets down to 3 volts. Sorry for my voice, by the way, or if I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm not very well today, but I did want to make this video. So let's come back once this is finished drawing power and see what the true capacity of this 2000 milliamp hour battery really is. So the test is complete and the display is flickering on and off very fast to let us know it's finished, and it measured a total of 1517 milliamp hour. Now you can see there's a bit of a camera trickery going on here where the 1 is disappearing, but 1517 milliamp hour. Now with my other tester we measured around 1350 milliamp hour, so that's around 150 milliamp hour discrepancy. But what you have to remember is when we tested this battery before, we were using a constant 1 amp load. This time we're using resistors, so as the voltage of the battery decreases, so does the power consumption. So to begin with we were consuming 1 amp against this battery, but as the voltage decreased we actually ended up consuming somewhere around 0.8, maybe a little bit lower amp. So of course with any battery, the higher the current, the less you get out. So I'm not surprised to see that a slight discrepancy and getting a little bit of power out because we were drawing a lower current near the end of the test. Now of course we're not limited to measuring 18650 batteries with this. I could get a USB cable cut it there and then wire it in instead of this little adapter here, and then I can connect it to a USB power bank like this and measure the true capacity of the power bank. Now something to remember in that case is that we will be measuring at 5 volts because this is going to output 5 volts. So we'd have to do a little bit of conversion because the milliamp hour reading that we'd get is based on 5 volts, but what we need to know is based on 3.7 volts. So if you do use it to measure power banks, you have to do a little bit of math to convert it. So that was just a quick video to show you this battery capacity tester. It's very cheap, very simple, and it pretty much does the job. The only thing that I added was this little adapter here, and I don't know if you'll be able to see on camera, but I've used a solid core wire, very thick wire in there to connect that, because you want to avoid any losses by using very thin wires. And likewise here, I've used a heavy gauge wire, because again, I'm trying to avoid any losses. So if you enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.